with the Death Star there behind me, a couple things to finish yesterday's video. One thing is that the appeal to me of the dividend plan is that you never sell your shares. Once you're in stage 2 and you're just cashing out and using your dividend payments, you never sell your shares. Say you bought Google a long time ago, you have many shares, and every January 1st, you just need to sell like 10 shares and you can live off that money. You might outlive it. I don't know how long you're gonna live. I don't know how many shares you have. You might keep selling 10 shares every year, but you might outlive how many shares you have. With the dividend plan, I alluded to it in that 3M example, you have the same number of shares every year in stage 2. You get paid based on how many shares you have, but you don't have to sell any of your shares. It's just like an inventory you have, and you get paid based on owning those shares. The share amount does not change. So that's the appeal to me. You're never gonna worry about outliving how many shares you have because you never sell them. And one other small thing is that the stocks I said you shouldn't want in a plan like this, Apple, Microsoft, I mentioned that briefly. So the stocks I'm looking for in stage 1 for growth are stocks that I think have taken off already. Like Coca-Cola isn't gonna take off any more than it has. It's consistent. People are gonna drink soda. They have way more products than soda, but people are gonna use their products. They're gonna buy them. Coca-Cola isn't skyrocketing anymore. It's like plateauing. It's gonna go up a little each year, but you don't have to worry about the price really taking off, which would lower the yield on your dividend payment. So that's what I'm looking for. Solid companies that are adamant about increasing their dividend, but the price isn't gonna take off like it has recently with Microsoft and Apple. So tomorrow there are gonna be some graphs, and the next day, and there's gonna be a little more math. Today I kind of wanna set up what I'm gonna show you in episodes 4 and 5 of this mini series within my Vlogmas series. So there are gonna be a lot of factors you know when you start your dividend plan. All the stocks you're gonna pick, you're gonna know the historic dividend yields. You can look up what the amounts were. You can look up year to year how the dividend amount has been increasing. You can look up how the stock price has been increasing. You would like the dividend to be increasing faster than the stock price. That would be real good for stage 1. You'll know how much money you're gonna put in probably. The year looking forward, you'll know what dividend payments you're gonna get. Say a company increased its dividend in quarter 4 of last year, well, that's going to be the payment for quarters 1, 2, and 3 of this year, and quarter 4 is when they're going to increase it again, but you'll know exactly what you're going to get quarters 1, 2, and 3. You might have a very stable job with a very stable income, and you might know exactly how much money at the end of the year you're going to have set aside to put in to your dividend plan to buy more shares. You're going to be buying more shares with your dividend reinvestments. You should also be buying more shares with your salary. Spend less than you make and you have some money left over, you might know exactly what that amount is. I don't know exactly what that amount is going to be playing poker, but there are much more stable incomes people have, and they might know to the dollar exactly how much they're going to have. So there's a lot you're going to know, but there are 3 factors you won't know exactly. One is the dividend yield. So I said you will know that exactly. It's not tricky, but it's a little misleading. So you can look up any single day what a dividend yield is. It's the last dividend payment amount per share divided by the stock price. Well, the stock price changes, you know, all day. It changes every day. So the dividend yield in terms of how many shares you can get when you reinvest. Say I own a position in a company and I own 100 shares and I know what my next dividend payment is going to be, and in my brokerage account I have automatically clicked for automatic reinvestments. They're going to buy more shares with my dividend payment. Well, the yield only matters at the moment that dividend payment is purchasing more shares. Say I'm going to get a $100 dividend payment and the stock price is $50. Okay, that's great. It looks like I'm going to get an extra 2 shares. Well, I get the payment and it takes a day or 2 for the shares to actually be purchased. Say at the moment the shares are actually purchased, the stock price falls to $40. Well, now I'm going to get 2.5 shares with that $100. And conversely, if it were $50 is what I thought it was going to be, my $100 was going to get me 2 more shares, and the stock price goes up to $60, well then my $100 dividend payment, when it's reinvested and purchasing more shares, is only going to get me 1 2/3 more shares. So you could look every single day of the year what the yield is. It really only matters at the instant your dividend payments are purchasing those additional shares during the reinvestment. So it's never going to be that far off. I don't see, you know, stocks, they're like 50 at the date you get the money, and then a day later when the actual purchase takes place, you know, there's not going to be some crazy change, but it is tough to anticipate because it really only matters at that one instant where the repurchase happens. And it's also not an exact science how the stock price is going to move year to year or how the dividend amount is going to move year to year. It's easier to predict the dividend amount. You could look back at the historical dividend increases for the company that's on your prospect list, but you're not going to know exactly. Some companies have a poor year, they want to stay on the dividend aristocrat list. They increase, you know, 1 penny per quarter. Like in the example for 3M yesterday, they increased 4 cents from 2021 to 2022. But I also showed yesterday that from 2017 to 2018, 3M increased their dividend 74 cents. So it's going to be tough to know exactly, and that is a pretty important factor. It's also going to be tough to know how the stock price is going to move because both of those things affect the yield, the percent. So those are difficult to know, but I wouldn't kill myself trying to anticipate them because you're not going to get it exactly right. The thing you would like is for the dividend amount to be increasing faster than the stock price amount. If you think the dividend is going to increase 10% for the next few years upcoming, it would be nice if the stock price is not going to increase as quickly as that. Because like I said with that example a minute ago, if you have $100 coming and you're going to buy more shares with it, you would prefer the price of the stock to be 40 and you get 2.5 more shares rather than the price of the stock to be 60 and you get 1 2/3 more shares. During the reinvestment moments, you get more shares when the price of the stock is lower. So you would not like the price of the stock to be increasing crazily. If it happens, I actually owned AbbVie earlier in the year, or it was last year, when it was around 105 and then it went off to about $140 a share. That was good. I sold it, I had a profit. I was able to put more money than I started with in AbbVie. I was able to put more money than that into another position, but it took off so much that the dividend yield was not that strong anymore. The higher the price of the stock, the lower the yield. You don't get a lot of shares during the reinvestment. So I'm still keeping an eye on it if the price comes down a little more, but it took off too much. So you would actually like during the reinvestment the price to be lower. So year to year, it would be better if the dividend amount is increasing at a faster rate than the stock price amount. So I know I threw a lot at you right now, but tomorrow I'm gonna show it a little better. It's going to be easier to see. There's going to be some graphs, there's going to be some calculations, and I'm going to show you how you can start with a modest amount of money, and over enough time you can retire, because the graph for a dividend plan is exponential. A lot of people think linearly, but it's an exponential graph. Over time it gets very steep, and I'll show you what I mean tomorrow.
Yeah, I got it at the stadium. Man.